Hello, this is Model Monday episode 39, and here I have Riffield Model's 1/35th scale Panzer IV Aus G with workable tracks. This is a very interesting kit, and it comes with a few different pieces that were 3D printed, which is rather unusual for these type of kits, although Riffield has been doing that a lot lately. Although this may appear to be a Panzer IV Aus H, this is actually a late version of the G with side skirts and turret skirts. Here are the different camo schemes. Alright, and now onto the actual plastic. Now, this kit comes with a 3-piece hull, and I forgot to mention it shares a lot of pieces with their full interior Panzer IVs. So you will notice, as here the inside of the hull is a great example, there are a lot of attachment points for parts that are not included in the kit. And there is some nice molded detail like these wires and the mounts for the radios, which I do believe are included. And some of the interior parts are mounted on the sprues with the exterior parts, so those are included. The detail on the lower hull is very good. The weld seams look very nice. This kit does have a lot of parts, which I assume is because it had a full interior before this kit was made. Next, moving on to some of the smaller pieces. Here you can see a few of the hatches, spare tracks, and some of the tools, the shovel, wire cutters. Here's part of the front plate. And here we have the different muzzle brakes for the different production times. Either wheel tensioners. All these pieces look outstanding, by the way. They all have very nice bolts and welds if necessary, and are very crisply molded. Next, we have 2 of the same sprue. These are obviously for the lower hull, the running gear. We have all the little wheels. They are, I believe, 2 pieces for each road wheel. And here we have the suspension arms. And this, I believe, is a mount for making the tracks when you make the actual tracks. I've only seen one of these, so it only comes with this small portion, but you obviously can reuse it. Those are the caps for the road wheels. A few more of the tools and some spare tracks. Here are the suspension arms. Very nice detail on those. And the idler wheel and drive sprocket. Moving on, we have parts for the turret. As I said previously, this does have some interior parts, so this is the turret basket. I believe it also comes with parts to make the detail on the turret, the mantlet, and the gun breech. And the Panzer IV has those doors on the side of the turret, which are often open unless the crew is in combat. So if you want to have some guys sticking their heads out of the tank, or just have the hatches open, you can do that without worrying that people will see nothing inside, which is definitely a plus for one of these kits. The actual turret itself comes in a separate bag along with the skirt for it. It looks very nice. All the little bolts and other details are, as usual, very nicely molded. Moving on, we have some of the interior parts. Here we have, I believe this is some sort of battery, the ammo storage container, the firewall that separates the crew compartment with the engine. I'm assuming this is just here for structural integrity rather than interior detail at this point. And some other smaller pieces, which I'm sure you don't have to do if you're not going to have any of the hatches open. Next, we have some of the lower hull details, which I probably should have shared earlier. 2 of these sprues. It includes parts for the drive sprocket and the final drive assembly. Again, a few more spare tracks. Sorry about that. Next, pieces for the engine deck. Here we have the engine hatches, part of the MG34, which is the hull mounted one. Tow hook eyes. The tow hook itself is actually a thread, which I will show you when I'm done with the plastic. Very nice details here. Next, we have a few of the last big pieces, the fenders. Very nice detail on these. Some other kits just have these the texture as circles, but this one nicely replicates the actual texture, both on the top and the bottom, although it is quite thick. That could be a downside. Yeah, so if you want to have these damaged or something, you're gonna have to do something to alter them or something like that. A few of the side skirt mounts right here. The turret skirt ends. And a few of the smaller details. Here's the turret face. And again, the side skirt mounts. The last major portion of the hull, these are the sides of the hull. The shape looks very nice and is not bent, which is definitely a plus. So that looks like it's going to fit well. Here we have part of the upper front plate, the front of the tank, and I'm assuming this is either the interior of the upper front plate or the another version of it for a different late model. And again, a lot of these pieces won't be being used, so don't get intimidated. This looks like a lot of parts. Different versions for the gun mantlet. Another type of muzzle brake. And parts for the gun breech. These look very nicely detailed. I believe this is the bin to catch the empty shells. Looks very nice. Here we have some of the smaller details, the commander's cupola. And it does come with lots and lots of clear parts, which I'll show you in a minute. There's a seat, some of the smaller handles, and padding for the inside of the tank. And the last piece of plastic we have is the turret basket. It's very nicely detailed if you want to have it open. There's the basket itself. It's not too thick, though it is kind of thin if you wanted to have it damaged or something. I am considering to have this painted as a Kursk vehicle. I really like that camo scheme, and I think it would look really cool on a project that I plan in the future. Alright, just 1 second. Let me get out the clear plastic parts. We have a lot of different periscopes. Lots of periscopes. I'm not going to take these out of the bag. I don't want to scratch them. Some of the lights. A bunch of other stuff I'm not entirely sure. Here we have the light faces and stuff like that. And I'm sure some of this is for the interior. As for one of the most interesting parts of this kit, the 3D printed accessories, it comes with a few different smoke grenade launchers. Here we have the hollow ones are the ones that are already been used, and the solid ones have the cap on them and are yet to be used. These are very nicely molded and pretty rigid, which is nice. Supports do not seem to be that big, so cleanup, I don't think that would be very difficult. That's definitely a plus. And the last of the 3D printed parts, these are some sort of bolt mount or something. I'm sure they supplied it in plastic as well, but it's always nice to have something different and maybe possibly more detailed. Alright, one of the other highlights of this kit are its single piece tracks. So each of these is his own piece, mounted on a long sprue with them all connected to each other. I think there's like 10 different sprues in here. They look to have very nice detail, so that's definitely a plus. And I don't think these would be very hard to work with. To connect them together, you have these little pins. So I believe you can just put the track in this little sprue and then cut off the pins. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's that way because remembering the track jig had, 6 different tracks on it, so Maybe that's one way to do it, or you just cut the sprue in half to place them on the side. And we have 2 of these bags. And the last 2 things of this kit are these poly caps for each of the road wheels, and I'm sure the drive sprocket and either wheel as well as this thread, which plays the part of the tow hook. Alright, and the last part of this kit, instructions. They are very, very highly detailed, and as per usual for these type of kits, is starting off with the lower hull, adding some of the details on the bottom. I really like these instructions because they are color-coded, and it's very obvious about what piece you're supposed to use. So that's definitely a plus about these instructions. Again, moving on to the details on the back of the hull. And then in suspension arms, you can just definitely see it's very hard to make an error here. The detail on some of these parts, which is hard to see on the actual plastic until it's painted, is very obvious on some of the actual pictures like this. And the road wheels have text on it. As for the tracks, moving on, you use the track jig, and the track pins, you just push them into the side, and details on the front of the tank. Adding some of the smaller details, putting on the tracks. 98 track lengths per side. Then moving on to the front plate, side of the hull. Adding some smaller details. Tow hook, spare wheels, exhaust. Side skirts, which I will show you in a minute, are actually made of photo etch. And there's a lot of other photo etch details as well. Gun breech is highly detailed. That's definitely a plus, like I said, if you want to have the turret hatches open. Turret basket is very nice as well. Adding some of the smaller details to the turret and the commander's cupola. Then finally adding the machine gun and a few of the remaining details. As for the camo scheme, there are 4 included in this kit. The first being Kursk, or Eastern Front rather, and then the second one being Northern Kursk. Very similar schemes, although they do have different turret numbers and different colored bears, if that makes any sense. This is the one I am likely going to do. It's, again, Kursk, and it has that nice Dungle Gelb with the olive green colors, as well as that shield with the eagle on it. And then the last one is this, just plain Dungle Gelb one from the Italian front in 1943. So, that is it for this kit. I will show you the photo etch here. The photo etch, which I just mentioned, it comes with all the side skirts so that you can easily bend them and damage them, as well as the sight for the MG34 on the roof if you want to mount that on there. And then the decals for a few different vehicles, which I just showed you. Very nice. They do not look too thick, and they're pretty good quality color. So I don't think that'll be an issue. So I highly recommend this kit for anyone wanting to build a Panzer IV-G, although I did see that Tamiya just released one, although I'm thinking that is an earlier model for North Africa, which I've seen a lot of people build up already. Anyway, thanks for watching. I should have more videos on modeling related stuff on some of my projects. I recently went to a contest and got a few awards. I'll make a video on that in a few weeks. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.